So in the last 30 years of my life, I decided to push, identify C talents and then 8 talent. I'm not a showbiz person. I'm a lecturer and I lecture media security. Yeah. But I strongly believe that art is what is going to set us free, because art is like art to me, or for me, it's like social media, or what we call social media today, the last 30 years. The mainstream media wasn't going to televise the whole story at that juncture, because it was owned by the people that wrote the roadmap to go against us at that juncture. But you see, the black person or the African human being with his brother that is out there in the diaspora are one people, and the things that they'll find in common is going to be the arts. So when reggae music popped up in here, as a scholar of street art forms, I found it necessary to put together resources to aid and grow these voices, because we believe that at one point in time, our children will be listening to them more than they'll be listening to us. So for that reason, we found it worthy of investment. And today, as we speak, the art form that we've been pushing the last 30 years has been able to have some economic breakthrough and has fed families. It's moved people from prisons, it's moved people from the plantations, it's moved people from places, and then they have been able to, and we still have some more to do.
I want to congratulate Danaway Rock and Edward and the team for pushing forth this event. And the reason why I think it's necessary to do that is that there's a large Jamaican community here in Ghana, massive Jamaican community, but it's not mobilized. And this is one way to mobilize the Jamaican community, by engaging in events like these and activities like these that not only entertainment, but it also will bring economic benefits. It will also help with the social awareness and the development of the society. One of the main reasons why reggae music is able to spread to the world is because of the fact that it represents resistance. It represents the social realities and needs and conditions of the oppressed people of the world. We are living in what is known as a capitalist system. We know capitalism is a very rabid system. It's a system that is established for excess greed and excess wealth. We have seen how the coronavirus issue came in, and the multinational corporations that were behind that, pushing it to take people's lives just for the sake of money. When you have a system like this, reggae music will thrive, because that's the purpose of reggae music, and that's the purpose of artists. The artist is supposed to prick the conscience of the human beings, the society. They're supposed to be able to point ways and directions and options and opportunities away from the regular system, especially when the system is not representing the masses. So reggae music will forever thrive and thrive and thrive, because it's not just about entertainment, right? It deals with the social and political realities. It's just like a politician. Reggae musician is like a politician. Yes, the influence in Ghana is very strong, but there's a lot more needs to be done.
where I want to transcend further is how do we bring in the economic aspect to that, as Dr. started to enumerate. Because in this time and age, if you want to reduce unemployment, and if you are politicians who understand that even music is what can take some people out of that bracket, how is the governance of the day assisting the structures? For example, Rita Mali came down here. She chose to build the Top Gong studio right here in Ghana, and we allow it to dissipate. So the concept is that how is the political system accepting the institutions and the structures? Because if Top Gong studio has survived in a Ghana would have produced more quality reggae music. And I know my brother Rocky Dawuni would have even made tracks right here in Top Gong studio that will resonate out there. So politics and reggae music are two important discourse if you want to advance the cause of the youth. So how do we get the youth to resonate with reggae music as a form of livelihood? And we all don't need to sing in patois. Like I said, some of Kojean's music are reggae music, but he sang them in Twi. So if you are from the Volta region and you want to sing reggae music in Ewe, like Brother Aswad is saying, let's use the things Jamaica does not have. We have about 40-something languages. They don't have. They have English and patois. So why don't you sing the reggae music in Nzema? But just make sure that your product is of a quality. The white man will run after it.
In 1969, Nana Kwame Ampadu recorded the first reggae song in Ghana. And that was on the back of Rocky, what's the name of that lady who made reggae popular? Millie Small or something. My Girl Lollipop, that lady who did that song. So right after that song, when that song was enjoying international appeal, Ampadu recorded the first reggae song in Ghana. Fast forward, we remember the likes of Simple Man Kante. Without a doubt, one of the first Ghanaian artists was playing reggae. And in those days, we had only one radio station. Or let me say two, because it was GBC 1 and GBC 2. And GBC 2 was the local station. And GBC 1 was playing the westerns and the... So, people like Simple Man Kante, big back in the day. Then, around the time Bob Marley died, there was this chap who came from Germany, who remembers Daniel in the Lions Den, Felix Bell, another cat who pushed reggae. And then in 1982, we were deported from Nigeria and we came to Ghana. And that also launched a whole new wave, because 5 years later, by 1986, Roots Anabo had come from Germany to do some big shows in Ghana. By that time, we hadn't seen those kind of shows, especially for we, the reggae crowd. And Roots and Abo were the first African band to play a reggae sound clash in 1984. So when they came into 1986, they created a whole new wave. That's where I met Dr. Neil Ante first. He was then a student at Achimota, and he used to come to the place at Zongo Junction with his box guitar. And I saw Fred Van Dyke. And around that same time, Rocky Dawuni Rocky they were like 4 years in the 90s. He was then a student at the University of Ghana. So with some of his friends like Raskafu Day and Amanziba's kid brother. I mean, they had a crazy band, Local Crisis. And then there was Kente. And we the Ghetto Boys, our band called SOZ. Thank you. Around that time, we were playing at Africa Caribbean Center. That's the first met this gentleman. He had come from London, Black Santino, and he was a video cameraman. Yeah, I'm talking 80s matter. Then by 1996, After Poncho had been the first Ghanaian to play reggae consistently on radio, Black Santino, let's show Santino some love. In 1996 on Vibe FM, he used to wake Accra up. Who remembers 2 to 6 a.m.? Those days we didn't do a lot of gospel preaching in the morning. Monday and Saturday, 2 to 6 a.m., Black Santino, the whole city locked down. Following year 1997, Groove FM, we got our license, and called B and myself joined Black Santino, and we were playing reggae on the radio. Coincidentally, who knows Chairman General Kwame Sefakai? Kwame used to play Reggae Reasons 3 times a week on Radio Gold. Yeah, reggae presenter, killer reggae presenter. Today they do politics. So then, that was like around that time that Rocky left us and went to America. And then he came back with Crusade and all those big songs coming in. And then the all-time classic in Ghana. Rocky, actually, like Santino said, flew the flag of Ghana so high that there was a Roman Catholic father in the Vatican who was a Ghanaian and invited Rocky to play in the Vatican. Do you know what that means? Massa, he entered the lion's den, the belly of the beast. Go play reggae there. So, when you look at all that time, it brings you to the era of the Osaji Force and Zonto them and Tonto them. And today, like I said, for me, I'm excited because I was telling somebody that without a doubt, reggae dancehall is the biggest music in Ghana today. In Jamaica, they started playing the drums right after slavery. And then because Africans were spiritual, Pocomania came in. Pocomania in Ghana, we call him Mumo. Mumo Somo. Nah, Joni Mumo Eba. And then he evolved into Mento and Ska and Rocksteady and Reggae and Dancehall and Lavish Rock. It's everywhere. So you can't tell somebody whose great-grandchild is playing a certain music that this music is alien to him. I remember when I was in Jamaica in 2018, Charlie, you know something, I tell my friends, apart from the hots, you know in Jamaica they are like those people, Yomo Benjamin, Oledi Ode Jamaica. Hot skirt, hot dress. That was the only thing that made me scratch. Oh no, this is not Accra. This is Jamaica. Because the faces you see, similar. So what I just say is let's love each other. Let's stop this. You're playing reggae, you're playing this, you're playing that. It's all one black culture. Even today, the white people come tea farm.
I've got you on my mind.